This is a Hot Pie Original.
Y'all, I'm so excited because we are doing a giveaway. I am doing a giveaway. I'm going to give away a 30-minute habit coaching call with me. We can get a lot done in 30 minutes for sure. So if you want to win it, I'm just so stoked to give this away because it's something that I believe in so wholeheartedly. And I know that we could up your game and up level and make your life rock even further just in 30 minutes. So simple to win. All you have to do is leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. If you're listening on a different platform, that's okay. We're going to do another one of these down the road on other platforms like Spotify. But right now it's for Apple Podcasts. So simply go there, leave a 5-star rating and a written review of any episode you like, or just the podcast in general. Leave the review, and in 2 weeks, we will announce the winner of a 30-minute habit coaching call with me on the podcast. So that's simply 2 weeks away. You have lots of time to do it. Tell your friends about it too. Maybe you want to do it together. That's cool by me too. Whatever you want to do, we can up your game together. Simply leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much in advance, and I'm so excited to work with you. Hello, and welcome to the Amy Edwards Show. I'm your host, Amy Edwards, and we are here to get more rocking all the time. We're here to raise our vibration and have great conversations and all keep transforming together to be our best selves. That's my mission with my voice, and I am stoked that you are here. Thank you so much. Today's guest, I know, you know what I'm going to say. It's amazing because every conversation just blows my mind on this show. It is with Serena Dyer Pisoni. She is the co-author of the book, The Knowing, which she wrote with her sister, Sage Dyer. And they are both the children of Dr. Wayne Dyer, who passed away in 2015. And they have written this book not only about lessons that they learned from him, but lessons that they have learned in their lives. And it is so beautiful. I so enjoyed reading it. And I am so honored that she came to Austin and got to be here in person with us and have this conversation and share so much of her wisdom. And she's funny and she's cool. And I'm just stoked about it. So let's get to today's show. I'm so glad you're here. And also, if you haven't signed up for the newsletter yet, please do so at amyedwards.com. So these conversations just go a little bit further each week in those newsletters. So thank you so much for being here. Okay, welcome to the show. I have been thinking, I've been thinking about a lot of things lately, but I got struck by an analogy that was in Serena's book, who we're talking to today, The Knowing. And it was an analogy about what we are filling ourselves with. And it says this is on page 222. I like it. Picture it like this. What if you moved into a beautiful new house, your dream home, and a benefactor gave you unlimited funds to furnish it with? Would you fill it with furniture you hated, uncomfortable, useless, or reminding you of something or someone you'd rather forget? Of course not. Your mind is like that house. Your thoughts are your currency. You can spend your currency on thoughts you do not want or even like very much, or you can spend it on things that encourage growth, comfort, happiness. It's up to you. When you connect to your knowing, you realize your thoughts are up to you. They are your creation. So I like that analogy. I've actually been using it in my meditation some to kind of just imagine what I'm filling my house with. What is this furniture that I'm putting in my house? And I started to think about even the smallest things that I say. And I think a lot of you know, money has been on my mind. Manifestation has been on my mind, which I'm going to jump into more next week as well, which I'm excited about that because that's been on my mind since Amanda's episode last week, which is fantastic, by the way. So, or I guess Amanda was 2 weeks ago. Anyway, that got me thinking about even the smallest things that I think. And I was thinking about writing things down to manifest them and feeling gratitude for different things. And I noticed that even if I say I've got my debt paid off, I'm still saying debt. I'm still saying the unpleasant word, the word that I want to get out from under, the thing I don't even want in there. So I was like, how can I even shift that word? So as I was writing these things down, I decided that I needed to shift that. And I shifted it to surplus. And so I just decided to say, instead of all my debts paid off, I'm saying I am in surplus. And it's making me look for surplus everywhere I can. What a cool word, right? Surplus. We are in surplus. We are in surplus of abundance, surplus of money. That is the goal, to be in surplus. And actually, we already are. And we just can't always see it all the time. I'm always saying that as much to myself as to anybody else. Trust me. Because it's a thing. So as you know, I have been on this 75 hard program, which I'm still doing. Today is a challenge, actually, but we'll see. Maybe today's the day I'm not anymore. I don't know. But I've been doing 75 hard, and I have noticed that it is a mental toughness challenge. And I've noticed that there's a lot of mental strength that's coming with it for me. And if you don't know what it is, the 75 hard is like 2 workouts a day, one of which must be outside, each for at least 45 minutes. You read 10 pages of a book every day, take a progress picture, drink a gallon of water, and you commit to a diet and stick with it, any diet you want, and you have no cheat meals and no alcohol. Okay. So anyway, a lot of that comes really easy to me. The diet is probably the hardest part, but anyway, it's not about the fitness. It's about mental toughness and paying attention to details. And I've noticed like little details like this come up for me, and the mental toughness to push away from, not even push, that's probably not the right word, but to not stay in the negative thoughts, to really look at how I'm furnishing that house of my mind, to really like level up higher in my thoughts and think about what I am actually furnishing it with. Because if you're saying, I want to be out of debt, or I want a partner who's not going to leave me. Ooh, there's a good one. I want a partner that's not going to leave me. There's still the words in your house that say, partner, leave me. Debt. There it is. There's a piece of furniture over there that says that. I want to just even clear out those pieces of fucking furniture. I want to clear those out. I want it to say surplus. I want it to say partner who is consistent, partner who shows up, love. And I had to transform that actually in my own love relationship. I can't remember if I've talked about this before. So if you've heard it before, you're about to hear it again. Please forgive me. But I really got real with myself when Justin and I went through a hard time and had to look at what I was attracting. And I had to say, oh, I'm afraid of someone who chooses something else over me. And that's exactly what I got. And so I had to go, oh, wait, hold up. Let me rephrase that. I want someone who shows up. I want someone consistent. I desire someone who chooses me and us and himself. And so those feel good. So I'm actually picturing like little pieces of furniture in my mind that say these words. So whatever works for you. But I love that analogy, and I love paying attention to the little spots that we can find improvement in just what we're aligning with. Because, you can think, oh, well, that would be nice, but I'm always broke. There's that right there. Just negate that from your vocabulary. Just get your broom on in your little house. I know I've been overdoing it with the analogies lately, but you get your little broom with your house in your mind and sweep those negatives right out of there. which is easier said than done. Yes. But I am noticing that the more disciplined I become in these other habits and making myself do all these things like the gallon of water and things like that, like those are making me more disciplined in my mind and more able to stay in that space and more able to furnish it with the good shit and not the bad. Furnish it with the things that are really going to lift us up and align us with the better stuff. So this is just some encouragement to pay attention to those things, even when you're talking to somebody else. I have friends that say things all the time like, I'm so dumb. I'm an idiot. Ugh, fuck me. Whatever it is. You're subconsciously furnishing your house with those things. They're maybe in a closet in the house, but they're hanging around. So open the closets, like get it all out. Don't even have those in there. Nah, we all make mistakes, but we don't even have to hang on to that. I learn. How about that? I learn. There's a quick transformation to all of it. You just have to do it. Yeah. And be willing to do it. That's a big part of it, being willing to do it. And Serena and I get into that today. I'm so excited to share our conversation today. She is such a light and so cool and very real about everything. And I mean, stay for the whole conversation because at the end, she opens up about some things that are going on right now that I just found very interesting and challenging to our ego. And the learning doesn't stop. I told her even during this, when I got this book, when I got her book, The Knowing by her and Sage, I thought it was going to be like lessons from their dad or something, but it's not. It's lessons that they're still learning, lessons from their own life. And they do talk a lot about things they have learned through their parents. And it's just really, really well done and really beautiful. And I was thrilled to have a conversation around it today. And one of the things we talk about, and that's our how-to in our episode title, is finding your inner Tahiti, or she says her inner Maui. But I'm going to read you this really quick. And this is what it says. I believe it's page 213. How to find your own inner Tahiti. And of course, Serena is going to talk a lot more about this today. So they mention again the furniture in the house. So here we go. Will you stay present enough to give a silent thank you each and every day you are alive on this earth? If you make a commitment to starting today, you might find that you're aware of just how precious time is. To spend your time in conflict with others, with your circumstances, or with yourself is like filling your home with furniture you despise. Our thoughts are the currency we have in this lifetime, and what we spend our thoughts on is not only what we fill our minds with, but what our life ends up becoming. Some people spend their entire lives fearing the worst, constantly in a state of worry or anxiety over things that never come to pass, but they end up living a life full of fear, which blocks out the love they instead could be experiencing. The more you express gratitude in the present moment, the more you'll find yourself soaking up each and every passing day, no longer wasting your thoughts and energy on everything that could go wrong. Every time you find yourself in conflict with yourself or someone else, or find yourself out of flow with the green lights the universe is wanting to send you, remind yourself that you too have your own inner Tahiti. We do not measure our spiritual growth by the number of difficult situations that arise in our lives, but instead by how we find ourselves responding to these difficult conflicts to these difficulties or conflicts. Do we respond with love or fear? What you choose will set the course for whether you move into the flow of the universe or against it. You can choose to see the light in even the darkest of places by finding your inner Tahiti and consciously redirecting your thoughts to that space. It is from there that you will become in alignment with all the green lights the universe has to offer. I love that. So you can build your own inner Tahiti, or actually just discover it. It's right there. And how are we going to treat it? You're going to litter on it? Or are we going to just love it and let it shine and be the most beautiful place we can imagine? That's pretty powerful right there. And everything that she shares today is super powerful. So I'm very, very excited to welcome Serena today. You can follow her at Serena Dyer Pisoni on Instagram, SerenaDyer Pisoni. And I will put a link to it in the show notes. So please find it there. And there's also a link to their book. And she's also the author of another book called Don't Die with Your Music Still in You, My Experience Growing Up with Spiritual Parents. So anyway, she does share a lot about her parents today, and it's really, really beautiful. And there's so many lessons to take away as a parent. Or if you're not, that's okay too, because there's a ton to take away, especially about the ego stuff that we talk about at the end, and about the Ho'oponopono prayer that her husband practiced, and when he was going through a very, very trying time and going to be sent to prison. So definitely listen for that. That's all in the book as well. And I'm stoked to share it today. So stick around for the wrap up today too, and we'll talk a little bit more. And now let's welcome Serena Dyer Pisoni. Y'all, I am so excited to tell you about Sovereignty. Stick around for a unique discount code at the end. So Sovereignty is just a next level game-changing supplement company. And that's partly why I love it. I'm very particular about the supplements that I take. This company can take your workouts to the next level. They can make your to-do lists feel easier. And you know how I feel about my to-do lists. And they also have a supplement to make sleep more effective and easier. How rad is that? So one of my favorites is Purpose Plus. I'm always drinking it around here. What's so cool about it is they encourage you to have intention as you drink it. So I love that you're just infusing it, and they're encouraging that, infusing it with your own intention. So it's a blend of CBD and CBG, which is a mood enhancing hemp derived ingredient. And they also have 7 clinically studied ingredients with the world's best adaptogens to deliver results that you can feel immediately. They say almost immediately, but I feel it immediately as soon as I'm drinking it. And it tastes good too. The supplement empowers and supports your mind and body to feel better, be better, and achieve new levels of productivity. Yeah, bring it on. Bring on the productivity. But you know what? To be our best productive selves, we've got to maximize our sleep, which, you know, I'm a humongous proponent of good sleep. And I'm particular too about any sleep supplement that I take. So this enhances not only your falling asleep, but the proper recovery that we need to have the most productive days and be our best selves. So their product is called Dream Plus, and it relaxes and calms the mind and body while helping you fall asleep and stay asleep longer. Dream Plus contains 5 clinically studied ingredients, CBD/CBN, and adaptogens to heal your body from the day while you sleep. Heal your body and your mind, because that's so, so important. And the best part, they give you a money back guarantee. If you're not happy with anything, you can get your money back within 30 days. How badass is that? So I know you're probably ready to order. I'm a fan. Become a fan with me. Use code Amy20 for 20% off your purchase, and find out at no risk why I love Sovereignty supplements so much. So it's at sovereignty.co. That is spelled SOVEREIGNTY.co. And remember, use code Amy. Oh, I think it's just code Amy for 20% off your order. So sorry if I said that wrong. Code Amy for 20% off your order.
The first time I smelled this was in Joshua Tree.
Wow.
Yeah, with my best friend. We went for her birthday. And
yeah.
I had never smelled Palo Alto. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what Joshua Tree was. I didn't know it was a place and not a tree. I thought we were going to like one tree.
I thought there was a tree there. There's
Me
not?
too.
No?
No, it's like the desert.
Cool.
And
have you been?
I've been right by that. That's where I learned how to build ecodomes.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was it?
It was really unique, I guess. It was cool. We did this vortex, like dome sound bath. That was amazing.
Oh, I like those.
Yeah. But it was just like a weird, creepy trip in general. I was like heavily boozing.
Oh.
And so we were like wasted, and I don't know. I felt like aliens were out there, and our car got stuck in the dirt, and there's no roads. It's just dirt roads, and there's no lights, and we had like to dig it out. And I thought like rattlesnakes were going to come, and I don't know. It was just a lot of Thelma and Louise drunken adventures.
Sounds like it tested your like fear. Like
I got home and felt like I needed to go on a vacation from that trip.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was fun though.
Well, good. I will try not to booze it up when I go, but I want to go. It's definitely on my list of places.
Yeah, it's cool.
What is your favorite place you've been to?
Well, Maui is like the most home feeling.
I haven't been.
No?
I'm dying to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So Maui is my favorite place, but my favorite trip, like vacation type of place, that my husband and I did a safari in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think everybody should do it while the animals are still alive. It was just incredible. And it was so like, we were so disconnected from the world. So we're out in the middle of the bush in Kenya. And we had a driver who was from the Masai Mara tribe, and literally still lived like tribal life. He had a wife, and he was saving up to buy a cow so that he could trade for another wife. So he had to give a cow to the wife, to the girl's father in exchange for marrying her. I mean, it was like that. But
was it just super connecting to nature in that way? Is that what it was?
You know what? It was that we were in this open air Land Rover, and we would get up at like 5 a.m. because the animals would be really active in the morning. And it would just be Matt and I, and Nelson was his name, the driver. And we would get this close to like zebras and lions. There was a pride of lions that was feasting on a warthog, like this close to us. And we're in an open vehicle, and we're just driving around looking for animals to see. And it was just incredible to have no lights, no sound, no cars on the road, no roads, nothing but us and nature. And plus, it felt like we were like James Bond-esque. Then they would like set up this like gorgeous like picnic with like a plaid tablecloth, and we'd be like out in the middle of like nowhere, like having china, like sipping out of like our china goblet. Like, I don't know. It was just insane.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was really, really amazing.
But you kind of get some of the same like disconnect in Maui, don't you?
Well, yeah. Like I get the emotional disconnect because I love it there so much that I guess I opt to be more peaceful there. Like I'm more aware of being connected there. But no, I mean, there's so many people and it's busy. And
I thought it was one of the less busy ones, but I haven't been there. So I thought it was one of the less busy islands,
Yeah, it can be. So like in the summertime though, it's really busy.
Yeah.
In the, off season, it can be pretty empty.
Well, I think, one of the things that called to me in your book, that I found so interesting was your view of this inner Tahiti, this insular Tahiti, and finding your own island because you were wishing to be there in Maui.
Right.
And I'm assuming people listening to this haven't read the book yet. And so, I want to also in a few minutes talk about your vulnerability and honesty, because that really super blew me away because I know how hard that can be. And you were just going through some hard things that we can talk about, but you had to find that inner Tahiti.
Yeah. I call it my inner Maui because
oh, you do?
Yeah, because as I just said, it's my favorite place. And, Tahiti is just another word for paradise.
Yeah.
And Maui is paradise for me.
So people could call it whatever they want.
Right.
Just your inner paradise.
It could be your inner Lake Tahoe if you want, although that doesn't sound as cool as inner Tahiti. So I just want to say what you said about it being hard to be vulnerable and honest. I actually have come to know that it's harder to not be. because then I'm pretending. It's harder to not be vulnerable.
It's harder to hold up that front.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's harder to play a role that is not who I am. So I am vulnerable. We all are, but I am somebody that feels good when I tell the truth, especially about myself to myself, because for so long I was telling myself not the truth, and I knew it. So I was telling myself, for example, like what you said, I was telling myself that I couldn't find my inner Tahiti. I couldn't connect to my inner island of peace because I had all of these awful circumstances happening and all of these awful situations happening. I bought into the idea that I couldn't have that place of peace and I couldn't live from it and I couldn't experience it until all those situations, those circumstances resolved themselves.
Yeah.
But I knew that was a lie. I knew I wasn't telling the truth. I knew that I had to actually find peace, and then the circumstances in my life would go into place. I knew that I had to do it first, and then life would catch up to me, to my energy. And I knew that because I was raised to know that.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you aren't raised to know that, I think that we all have that place within us that understands that, right? That understands that it really does have to start within.
It does.
Yeah.
You had one line that just totally struck me. I think I wrote, wow. Yeah, I wrote, wow. It was, you had been really, really honest about how you felt about Mason in the beginning, which, God, it chokes me up a little because you were so candid about the fact that you didn't want him around. He was your husband or fiance's son, and he was just getting in your way. And for you to be so honest about that was really beautiful and admirable because I just, I felt like you probably had you really admitted that before writing it in this book? Yeah. When he died, I did. Well, the part I put wow about was because he had passed away and you said you were committed to your shame. Yeah. And that struck me so much because so many times we just get committed to that shame.
Yeah. And I was committed to the shame because I felt like it was what I deserved. I felt like it was what I was owed. I felt like I was responsible for his, oh, sorry.
You're good.
Is that your foot? Okay. Sorry. I felt like I was responsible for, I didn't feel responsible for his death, but I knew, and I still know, that I could have been a lot better. I could have been, makes me want to cry. I could have been a better.
Me too.
Yeah. I could have been a better, not just a better stepmother because I was so young and I was so new to that role, but.
Yeah. Cause y'all were only 10 years apart.
13 years apart. Yeah. But I could have been a better person and I could have been a better friend. And for a long time while he was alive, I was not. I was coming from a place of jealousy over his closeness with his dad, my husband, insecurity that my husband had a child and that I knew that love that you have for your children is not comparable to anyone else. And annoyance of having to contend with a child and then a teenager. And I was coming from that place toward him for a long time, even though I knew not to. And when he died, I couldn't remember all of the good. I couldn't remember any of the nice things I had done. I couldn't remember the love that he and I shared because I was committed to the shame, because I was committed to punishing myself, because I felt like I knew better and I didn't choose that. And now it was going to be too late.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I think
that probably resonates with a lot of people, because when you lose somebody, we tend to just beat ourselves up and think all the things we could have done and could have done better. And
yeah. And I actually had somebody that said to me something that I wish I could take credit for, but I can't because she said it. But she said that after she read the 5, she had lost her husband to suicide. And she said that after she read the 5 stages of grief, she didn't feel any more at peace over the loss. But it was when she added in what she viewed as like the 6th stage or the 6th step in healing, which was forgiveness. That when she forgave not only him for choosing suicide, but she forgave herself for all of the things that she had done wrong in their relationship that she was carrying. And it was only when she did that, when she connected with that forgiveness, that she actually felt at peace with his passing. And I wish I would have known that when Mason died. I didn't know that. I didn't know that forgiveness was going to be such a crucial element in healing. But yeah, I agree with you. Anybody can relate to that idea that they could have done better, or there are things that people regret. And I think that if somebody is dealing with that, then the only way I know to get past the shame, to allow yourself permission to take off that heavy, heavy coat, is to forgive yourself.
how long did it take you?
A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a really
People probably look at you and think, oh, she's got it together.
No, I'm a total mess.
Well, I mean, I picked up this book, or you sent it. Thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome.
Thinking that it would be a lot of lessons that you got from your dad, but so much of it is after his passing and what you continue to learn, And I was just going to say, people probably look at you and think, well, she's got it figured out. Of course, she's got it,
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I'm happy if people think that, but that would just be total nonsense, because here's what I have figured out. I have figured out that it doesn't matter how great of parents I have had and have, and it doesn't matter how bad somebody else's might be. It doesn't matter what anybody else does. It doesn't matter what anybody else did. It just matters what you choose for yourself in this moment. And that is the only thing you have a say in. And that is the only power, freedom that you'll ever actually experience in life. And so for me, I think people, if they thought, oh, she has it all together, they would be thinking that probably because I had like a great upbringing and a great childhood. But one thing I've learned is that it doesn't matter if you had great parents, because they are not living your life and they can't row the boat for you. You have to row your own boat. And man, sometimes does that suck? You want to have somebody else do it, or it be somebody else's
all
fault.
the time. It'd be so nice.
Yes. And
I say that, but no.
Right. Well, and especially if you did something bad, it's so nice if it can be somebody else's fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's so great if it's like, well, I'm this way because of my childhood. I'm this way because of my bad parents. When you have great parents, it's like, God, who can I blame? I have nobody to blame. I had a great childhood. But ultimately, that's where the freedom lies, in taking responsibility for yourself in all situations.
And one of the lessons in here that also really spoke to me, I think about it a lot, is the idea of choosing sooner.
Yeah.
And then this leads you to the way of, okay, I can choose forgiveness sooner. It's just so hard sometimes to actually get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think especially if somebody dies, and especially if they die unexpectedly. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't also have to be somebody that dies to have that feeling. It can be you lost a job.
Yeah, we grieve all sorts of losses.
Right. And I think that, but I will say this, when it comes to grief over a person that has passed, there often seems to be this idea that you are dishonoring their life by being happy, by being at peace, by being okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, think about society way back in the day. They made women like wear black for a whole year.
Right.
Like you were forced to do it.
In some places, they made them throw themselves on their husband's burning bodies. Like they didn't have a value without him. But anyway, that's another conversation for another time.
But it's been around a while,
Yes.
right? And there's sort of this like expectation, and then we put it on ourselves, I think.
Yes. And we talk about people that died almost like if somebody loses somebody, it's like we put on kid gloves and we have to like do a delicate dance. We have to like whisper around them. It's almost like we treat people that are in grief. We treat them like as if they're distant, as if we don't want to get too close, probably because we don't want to do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing. But the idea of choosing sooner is understanding that you're not honoring anybody by staying committed to suffering. And where your loved one is now is in a place of such love and joy and peace, and they can't connect with you if you are just operating from that really low frequency of anger and shame and grief and regret and fear. But they can reach you and you can feel them and you can reach them essentially if you become like what it is you are seeking, if you become like them, which is love and joy and peace. And so before you said, how long did it take, or did it take me a long time? Yeah, it took me a long time to understand that I was not going to be able to feel Mason or my dad if I stayed punishing myself. And when my dad died, I didn't have that issue. I didn't have that concern or that problem because I had no regrets in my relationship with him. It was one where he adored me, I adored him, and I felt really safe in that. So there was nothing but love when I thought of him. But when Mason died, there was nothing but pain when I thought of him. And I know and I knew that he did not want that for me, and he would not want that for me. So the real question was, could I offer that grace to myself? Could I allow myself to feel anything other than punishing shame? Was I worthy of stepping away from the punishment and embracing my own light? And I knew that the answer was yes. But I didn't come from that place for a really long time.
Why do we do that to ourselves? It's so much easier to do that than to get to the other place, even though it shouldn't be.
Right.
It should be easier to get to that.
Right. But we do it to ourselves. And I think particularly women, although I don't know because I'm not a man. So, we could get a man's opinion.
I think we do.
I think women do too. And I do honestly believe that Marianne Williamson was absolutely right when she said that she said, our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond belief. Our greatest fear is not our darkness, but our light. It's our light that terrifies us. So I don't know why we do that, but I wish I did because I'd probably have $1 billion by now. I could package it and sell it and help everybody. But we don't have to. Yeah.
No, we don't have to. And that's really a big point of your book, because you don't have to. We can find that inner peace.
Yeah.
And do you live in it all the time? Probably not. You have toddlers, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Kind of a silly question.
No, I don't live in it all the
toddlers.
time. And in fact, I have to apply my own writing. I have to walk my own talk. I have to be reminded.
So do I, all the time.
Yeah. But it's great that you can admit that, because at least that means that you're aware, right? Some people think that, their shit don't stink. They think that they never do
it out.
Yeah. And they're not aware.
No.
And therefore they're never seeking to improve or to connect or to grow. So At least we have that going for us.
Yeah, we do. We do. Good for us. Yeah, I know. I had a dark time not too long ago, and like a friend was like, why don't you take your own advice? Why don't you do what you say? And I was like, you're right. I got to get to that more joyful place if I'm going to be in a better space all the way around.
Yeah, because it is true. There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. You don't get to just go outside of yourself and find happiness in a bottle or in a prescription or in a relationship or in a bank balance or in a number on the scale. That's not going to bring you happiness.
Those are ways of hiding the shame.
Right. And really just creating more of it.
Yeah.
Just creating more pain, more disdain for oneself.
Yeah. I've lost both my parents. So I think that sometimes, thank you. I think that sometimes, just with the experience of the loss, those are the things that open you up to these lessons, like you can't know it unless you get there and live it.
Right.
Which is unfortunate, but true.
Yeah. And nobody can get the lesson for you, but also it doesn't matter how many people tell you the same message in 10,000 different ways in 5 different languages until you are a vibrational match to it. It's not going to resonate. And I think that's why parents in general probably feel so frustrated a lot. I used to feel that way with Mason. Like, why don't you just get this? Like, I've explained it this way, and now I'm explaining it this way. We've gone over it like this. We've talked about it. Why don't you just get that this is all you have to do and that's it? But if you're not in harmony with the message, you're not going to get it until you are. So you can't understand a message that you're not in sync with. So that's why we walk down the same road, fall in the same holes, and wonder, how the hell did I get here again? It's why we date the same bad person in a different body over and over and over again until we don't anymore. It's why we continue the bad habit, the thing that we know we shouldn't do, over and over and over until one day we don't anymore. Because we're finally in harmony with the solution, with the answer, with what it is we were seeking. And until we got there, so I agree with you completely. You have to go through it.
Yeah.
And that's the way.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's taken for me. It's taken, and it's taken me, well, I mean, I'm getting older, like it's taken a lot of years. And I'm like, what takes me so long just to even just straighten out my mental game, my mental, records that play in my head, and like, that's been really challenging. And one of the other things that you talk about in this, if talking about mental stuff, is the legal issue that you had with your husband, Matt. You were super vulnerable and candid about it all, which that is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. It really spoke to me about transforming legal issues, because they can hang on for so long. Even if somebody's going through a divorce, even if it's something like that. I had a lawsuit. We were the plaintiffs, and it was just a big thing. It was this house we owned and whatever. Anyway, I won't get into that because that would take an entire podcast. But it was something that really hung on to me. It's not over yet either. That started in 15, and it's not over yet.
Right.
And so these things hang on so much. And I know that just stole a lot of your joy and a lot of your mental stuff. And
ours is not over either. Ours is still ongoing.
Yeah. Your husband was arrested. Mail fraud. Is that right?
Yes. And, 13 counts of different charges. Mail fraud, conspiracy to commit mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, all these different charges.
Wow.
And he ran a sweepstakes letter business, and he was adamant that he operated within the law, so much so that while he had been running his business, so let me just say that he was not in his business. He was done in the direct mail marketing, like consumer sweepstakes business, before we got married. So he had been out of this business for a while, but I guess they had just been investigating it for so long. But anyway,
The wheels of justice grind slowly. As
Yes,
my sister says.
they
She's
do.
an attorney. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so slow. I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
No.
But he had an attorney while he was operating his business. He had an attorney that approved every single piece of mail, every single one that they sent, and that attorney, really highly regarded in that field, he took the stand. He was the only witness, the only evidence, the only anything that our side, the defense, put up, because he's such an expert in the field that he took the stand to say, I approved these pieces of mail, and here's all the reasons why, and here's why they're legal, and here's where it says, like, very clearly, you did not win anything. This is not a, whatever. And that is called an advice of counsel defense. When an attorney gives you advice and you run a business based on that advice of counsel.
What you think is legal.
Right. You can't really be charged or found guilty of conspiracy to commit that crime, because conspiracy is you intended to break the law. You conspired to do it, to break the law. But if an attorney is telling you this is legal and you're taking his advice and you're paying him to advise you on the legality, then you can't really prove conspiracy. But anyway, Matt was acquitted on every single charge except conspiracy, which was just a crazy side note.
Wow.
Crazy thing. But anyway, he went to trial. He went on trial. And
Well, I was just struck by these two. Matt, I didn't see this coming in this book at all, and I was like, riveted by these big things that happened in your life.
yeah, I didn't see them coming at all either.
Right. But you were just really, really honest, not only about how Matt handled it, and sent love and light to these attorneys, but what a fucking process. I was so impressed by that. And I actually practiced it myself. I was like, I'm going to do it with everybody in this lawsuit that I've dealt with, And so I've been just trying to bring that to it.
It's the only way you can transform any situation that is outside of your control, because there are going to be situations that are outside of your control. And when these were happening, all of these things, like my dad passing away, my husband being arrested, indicted, going to trial, being found guilty of one count, being sentenced to 7 years, my stepson passing away. All of these things were completely outside of my control. And I felt as though, because of my upbringing and because I was raised to believe that life is not happening to you, life is responding to you.
Okay.
And that The Secret kind of got it wrong. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. I was identifying all of these things as bad and feeling compounded shame, not just because I was going through them, but because I felt as though I was responsible for creating them or aligning with them, that I must be bad.
Like you brought it on yourself.
Yeah. Or like, people say like karma's a bitch. Like, well, I must have had some really bad karma coming because why is all of this bad stuff happening? And not only did I have to endure each difficult thing one after the other, just felt like I was just getting like slammed left and right by like major life-changing like hurricanes. But I felt like I was creating them and aligning with them and attracting them. And I didn't understand why. Now I see it very differently. Now I see, I have come to know for sure that what we view as bad, and those were bad things, those were bad experiences. But what we place we place the label bad on something because it's difficult or it's painful or it forces us to be honest or connect with something that we want to avoid or that we are afraid of. It makes us,
it's out of our control, period.
Yes. And we have to confront ourselves, right? And those experiences do not have to be bad. They can feel bad. They can seem bad. but they can also be our greatest teachers. And they can be the stepping stones onto which we climb out of our own suffering. They can become the ladder or not, or they can keep you stuck. They can become the ball and chain or the ladder.
If there's one thing that we learned during the pandemic, it's that we want to be comfortable. But if you're like me, you always want to look your best too. I think we all do. And Good Life Clothing is where it's at for exactly those things. They produce a line of ultra premium basics to ensure that you're always looking your best while being your most comfortable. Sounds good to me. Good Life was developed by a team of fashion industry veterans aiming to provide the best fitting essentials from the finest materials made right here in the US of A. They have opened a brand new store right here in Austin, Texas in the Domain North Side. And I loved checking it out recently. It's absolutely gorgeous, but they have a great online presence too, so you can order wherever you are. I was impressed all around, not only with their store, but with their products mainly. And their staff too. Really good people, really incredible products. So you can stop by their new Austin location at the Domain North Side, or you can shop online, as I said, at goodlifeclothing.com. Be sure and use my code Amy20 for 20% off your entire order, either online or in person. Look good and feel good. Goodlifeclothing.com.
So now when something else bad happens and comes along in your life.
It's never happening again. There will be no more bad. I got it all out.
Good. Great. I mean,
But I know what you mean.
But it's escaping or not falling into that karma thing, because so many people subscribe to that. I don't really. I tend to view it more like you do, and I prefer to reframe, but it takes time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You going to choose that sooner, or like, is that?
Well, I mean, I wrote about choosing sooner, so I hope that I do.
God.
But honestly, I don't know. But I do know that this time around, I'm aware that the ladder exists. I'm aware that I can find the inner Tahiti. I'm aware that that I have a say in what I bring to the situation, and that the freedom, the control that I want is in that. And I might fall down the same hole. I might take the same road and fall down the same hole another time, but at least this time I'm not going to blame somebody else or look around for the way out from somebody else. I'm going to know that I have it within.
Yeah, or maybe not take it as long.
Yeah,
I mean,
that too.
As moms, I feel like now, I can't quite take as long. I'm right. I'm like, I have 2 kids. And so I'm like,
And how old are yours?
Snap at them. They're getting older. I have 2 girls. They're 16 and 12. So
okay,
it is its own adventure. But you do have to get it together a little bit faster usually. But you did talk about, your mind during the worst, I suppose it was the worst of the legal stuff, and how I identified with that, because I feel like so many times we're with our kids, but we're not present. And it just steals so much joy. And it's really, really hard to shift that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard, I think, because when you're afraid of something, the fear, it's so overpowering and it's so consuming. And it just takes you out of the present moment, because you're just anticipating and thinking and concerned and consumed with what you're afraid of. And I think that so many of these things have been such great lesson teachers for me, but I'm still a work in progress, because so often I'm still not being present. Especially when I'm with my kids, because I'm with them all the time. That's the problem.
So how do you get anything else done?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I'm like, I'm with them. And then when I'm not with them, like right now, I'm just literally laying in bed looking at videos of them. But I know if I'm with them, I'm not paying this much attention to them at all. It's like such a conundrum.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I had to really work to shift that because I'm divorced from both their dads. And I felt a lot of guilt and shame when I first got divorced and my daughter was like 2. And I had to reframe that because when I was with her, I was stressed out and I wasn't really there.
Right.
But when I was apart from her, I felt bad. And like, I should be there with her. And so I consciously had to sit with that and go, I need to turn that around, be present when I'm with her, enjoy my time when I'm not, and take care of myself. And that was a big shift. And I think that, as moms, sometimes we have trouble making those shifts.
Yeah, we definitely do. And I think that the biggest thing that I try to be aware of as a parent is that the greatest lesson, the greatest thing that I learned from both of my parents, the greatest, was not in something that they said, but it was in what they did. And children, for children, what their parents do is so loud, they can't hear what they say. And I did not have parents that said, go follow your dreams, while they were simultaneously sacrificing their own. I had parents that said, this is my dharma, and I will stop at nothing to fulfill it. And on some subconscious level, that gave me permission to do the same. And I didn't ever have to see, particularly, I think this happens for mothers, a mom who was sacrificing herself while trying to teach me to be full of self-worth. She was full of self-worth and would not sacrifice herself. And even though I didn't always get it, I didn't always make the connection. Now, as a mother myself, I'm so incredibly grateful that my parents honored their own inner highest self, their own dharma, their own self-worth, that they followed their own dreams and that they didn't live a lie.
Yeah, they honored themselves. I was very inspired by that in your book and the way that they parented and the way that they modeled that to you.
Yeah, and I'm still inspired by that. I'm still like,
yeah, for sure.
Were you guys really this cool?
I know they were very. And your mother even, took time for herself, for her own self-care every day, meditating without fail.
Every day. And she looks incredible and she is incredible in her energy.
She sounds amazing.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
You guys actually she's older now, but she looks really young. But she actually, you guys kind of
How
look
old is she now?
She's 70.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I could show you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I looked at your Instagram.
You just have a little similarity.
I'm going to take that as a huge compliment.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
she's gorgeous and she's 70 and she's still gorgeous. So, but she takes care of herself.
Yeah.
And she values herself. And for her, she always said that her dharma was to be a mother, that was all she wanted and everything she wanted and the greatest thing she wanted in life. And not all that's not enough. I mean, she did it 7 times.
I was about to say, she really did it.
She really nailed
That's
it.
a lot of months of being pregnant.
And she breastfed all of us till we were 2. I don't know if that's TMI,
God.
but
No, it's not for me.
I know.
Dude, I managed with one of my kids for 11 months and I was like, I deserve an award.
I managed 6 months was the longest and I felt like I deserved an award.
Yeah.
So, yeah. She did it for 14 years.
Holy shit.
I know. 7 natural childbirths.
No, she was made for it.
Yeah,
that
she was
is
made
her
for it.
dharma.
Yeah.
There's no question.
And she loves it. And she honored that. And she never felt like she had to have something outside of that. Sometimes we feel like, oh, maybe then we should have a career. That's not enough. No, she knew what she wanted. She did it 7 times. And she honored her highest calling, which was being a mother. My dad's was not being a father. I mean, he was an incredible father, but that was not his dharma. His dharma was to teach and to speak and to write. And even though sometimes that meant he had to miss my 17th basketball game of the season or my 4th choir appearance that month, it was always okay for me. It was always okay to me as a child that he wasn't there all of the time because I knew he was doing what he loved. And when you love someone, when you actually really love someone, there's no expectation or pressure or desire that they do something for you or satisfy something, some requirement that you create, you just love them, and you love them for who they are, and you want them to feel good. You want them to feel God. You want them to feel fulfilled. And because my parents treated my brothers and sisters and myself like that, there was no like expectation or attachment to who we were other than being kind. Because they loved us from such a pure place, I know that I felt that way back to them, and I still do. And that meant that when my dad had to miss something, it was okay, because there was no attachment or expectation that he be something for me or do something for me when he was doing the highest thing he could do for himself.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So
I wish my kids felt that way about me. But
so what's your, well, I was going to ask that. Like, what's your dharma? And then
my dharma is to tell the truth.
Oh,
That is it. That's the only, I don't
well,
have
you
a,
did, like,
because
kudos.
I lied for so long. And I mean, I really mean that.
like lied to yourself.
Yeah, like lied to myself. But even as like a little kid, I was like a liar. Like,
really?
yeah, big time. I mean, not like in a bad way, but I was like an exaggerator. I was a storyteller. I was like an actress in my own one-woman show with no cameras around and no audience. I was just a constant performer and seller and exaggerator. And, you know, I think it would be very common for somebody in my family to say like, okay, Sky, did that actually happen? Or Summer, is Serena telling the truth? Because I was so prone to, I'll just say storytelling, but it was really lying. And I don't know. Yeah, I was a liar. I was a big liar. And I was really good at lying to myself. And I, as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at telling the truth. And now I can tell you that I know for sure my dharma is to tell the truth, first to myself and then to anybody that wants to hear it. Because I too know that just like my parents fulfilling their dharma gave me subconscious permission to do the same, I know that telling the truth will give somebody else subconscious permission to do the same. And
I think anybody that reads, you know, your story and your complete and total honesty, which is, I mean, it is just, I'm always going for that and to be more open. And so that's why it super spoke to me. Like, so. Yeah. Wow. Is it something that you feel like you're more, you protect yourself more, like from wanting to be too vulnerable? Not anymore. Not anymore. I push myself to, and I try to pay attention to the small spaces too, when maybe there's just a little twinge of something that you're not being totally honest about. And where can I find those spaces even? And, and just even lean into that. And so I feel like I constantly get lessons about it, but I was kind of a liar too. I mean, like, but in not a good way at all, not in the storytelling fun way. I was more like, what can I get away with? Because I felt confined by my parents. I felt like I had to, you know. Are you a Scorpio? So no, Virgo. Oh, what are you? A Gemini. A Gemini. Yeah. Both my kids are. My dad was too. Yeah, I'm surrounded. Yeah, Gemini girls are the best. I mean, we think we're the best. I like them. Yeah. We think we're the best. I have a pair of them, and I have a pair of Virgo sisters. So. Oh, you do? Yeah, Summer and Sky are Virgos. Oh, nice. Yeah, yeah. It's you know, constantly using my voice somewhere like this. And I'm just always like pushing myself. How can I be more honest? And, you know, it's hard with social media and all that because, I don't know, you know, you can put out certain versions of yourself or whatever. And so that's been an interesting journey, I think, to learn. Well, speaking of social media, I feel like I want to say that, you know, when we put this book out, we weren't getting like a lot of feedback or interest or response. So let's just say we didn't know why. I'm not gonna. We had a publicist, and we didn't know if he was doing
all the things that he was supposed to be doing. And so I decided to launch this little like personally run PR Instagram campaign myself, where I was just messaging people that I either followed or I knew of or I knew had like a platform. And I was basically just saying like, please take an interest in my book or invite me on your podcast or can I send you a copy? And what was so fascinating to me was that there have been, I'm not going to name names, maybe later I'll tell you guys, but there have been people that I know for sure received the big endorsement or leg up or just opportunity that they needed from my dad. And
Wow.
we're really, really like just grateful for him, like opening some doors for them. And those people have been some of the most silent in responding to me. Not that they owe me, they don't. Not that they should do anything for me. I'm not my dad. They shouldn't. But then there are other people who they don't just talk about spiritual lessons. They don't just talk about being generous. They don't just talk about abundance. They don't just talk about, become what you are seeking and offer it to others. They actually are it.
Yeah.
They actually are it. So Justin.
I was going to say Justin too, who's sitting in here. Hi. Yeah. You know what? That's one thing I really notice about him, especially on social media, is like he really means it. And so many people are still in a place of ego.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to say. You and Justin.
I try to be, he models it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's the way I want to be. And when I see someone who's not like that, or what you're describing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I got it. Take that as the lesson that's not how you want to be. Just remember that.
Right.
But what an interesting
But what
thing
is
to have happen.
What is so interesting for me is that so you and Justin were both two people that were just like, yeah, we have this abundant community. Let me share it. Let me invite you. Let me help spread the word. And this is what I want to say about that.
My heart feels good right now.
Good. It should, because this is what I want to say about that. My dad used to say, or the Tao says, not my dad, the Tao. The Tao gets credit, not
Okay.
Wayne. The Tao says,
He read it to you.
yeah,
Sure.
Tao dad, it's almost the same. That the sage is kind to the kind and kind to the unkind because kindness is his nature. But my dad used to say, if you are not generous when you are poor, you will not be generous when you are rich, because generosity has nothing to do with your circumstances and everything to do with your nature. And you have, and Justin has, a nature of generosity. You have a nature of that. And I feel that, and I felt it, and I am here because of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And I think that it's not just your talk. You're walking it. You're doing the walk. And I have to be reminded of that.
Me too.
And generosity is not the thing that I fall short in, right? Like, I think I have a generous nature.
Mhm.
I have a nasty nature when it comes to like my ego.
There's your truth.
Yes.
Speaking truth.
Like almost like oh, really? You're going to give me attitude? I'm going to give it right back. Like,
Right.
you're going to talk fast to me? I can talk 10 times faster. Like, that's where my like ego, my lower self just like roars. And
That feels good sometimes. You want to be like that.
yeah,
right?
we think it feels good. We can become
we
like
think it
addicted
feels
to it.
good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like to almost like I'm gonna prove a point. I'm gonna sell something. I'm gonna teach them a lesson.
Mhm.
And my God, I'm so at a point in my life now where I despise lesson teachers. Like I don't need anybody to teach me a lesson. I want less lessons. I don't want to teach anybody a lesson. I don't want to be responsible for anybody else's lessons. I don't want to give a lesson. I'm done with that. But that is because
someone with 3 kids, right?
Right, exactly. That's because I'm exhausted, not because my ego is any smaller.
Right.
And you saw on my Instagram, but I had an experience yesterday where when I got to Austin, I was ready. My lesson teacher was ready to shine. And she was starting to come out when the woman who picked me up from the airport, the Uber driver, didn't put the window down. You know, usually when you have an airport pickup or drop off, you see somebody with suitcases. Usually the driver will get out and help.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she didn't put a window down. She didn't get out. So then I looked in the window to see, was this the right car? And she just popped the trunk. So I was like, okay, take that as a yes. I put the bags in and I got in the car and I was kind of just thinking like, this is like interesting. Like you're kind of being not friendly. I'm not going to say not nice, but you're just not being friendly. And so I noticed it and felt a little like, I don't know, like I was going to be extra friendly. Usually I'm so happy when I get in a car and nobody wants to talk to me.
Right.
So normally I would have been grateful for that. But because she wasn't talking to me, all of a sudden I was like,
I'm challenged right now.
yeah, that's why I'm a Gemini. It's like I have both going on at the same time. And so I'm in the Uber. And so because she's not saying anything, I'm extra talkative. And I'm like, hey, how are you? And she's like, good. And she turns up the podcast that she's listening to. Actually, it was an audiobook. She turns up the audiobook. So I was like, I felt like I just got scolded. I felt like I had kind of been like slapped a little bit. Like, okay, so clearly we're not talking, but you turned it up. Like, and she was listening to a book called The Budgetnista. And this was a woman who was talking about the importance of budgeting and saving and explaining it in a really like youthful, but sweet and kind and fun.
Kind of a modern take on it. Mm-hmm.
And she had like funny little things like drop down and get your noodle on. Like that was one of her lessons.
Okay.
Because your noodle is your thinking cap, I guess. when you're going to spend, you want to drop down for a second. So take a step back from what you're going to buy and think. So I don't know. Anyway, I remember that from the audiobook, but she was listening to a book about saving. And as I sat back and at first was feeling like, I don't know if I want to say offended, but kind of like self-righteous. Then I realized that this is a young woman that is driving an Uber and is listening to a book about savings. And I had a lot of respect for that and a lot of love for her, because that is a circumstance that I have never been in, of having to learn those things and having to kind of grow up or experience my younger, because I have had it older in life, but I didn't ever have to grow up having money insecurities. And I had a lot of compassion, and I ended up having a lot of excitement when I realized that that I was going to give her $100. So I realized I was going to do that because, I know this sounds like I'm bragging about myself, and I kind of am, but I'm saying this because I had the first instinct I had was I was slightly offended and annoyed. And I was going to match the energy that I didn't like with more of it.
Ooh, that's good right there.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It makes me feel good when you say that.
Oh, no, that's
makes me feel like maybe I should write down what I just said.
It's on tape. It's recorded.
No, I know.
We got it.
Yeah. But it's because we do that, right? We don't like someone's attitude.
Yeah, but then we match that.
We double it. We just double the amount of what we don't like.
Yeah.
By becoming like it. And I know that. And I knew that. And I was going to do that. But I also know that generosity can be my nature. Mm-hmm. That kindness can be my nature. And that I can be kind to the kind and kind to the unkind. I can be generous to the generous and generous to the not generous. I can be any of these things without any influence from who I am being it toward, or who's receiving it, or who's with me. Yeah. I can be kind to the least friendly person I've ever been in an Uber with because that is who I am.
That is who you are.
And it has nothing to do with that person anyway. Mm-hmm. It only has to do with me and who am I bringing? What am I bringing to the situation? And, there's a line, when you are looking for love and you don't find it, put love there and you will find it. It sounds really easy.
I love that.
Yeah. But that's what I did yesterday. It's like, I want generosity. I want abundance. Mm-hmm. Who doesn't? Then if I want abundance, let me put abundance there where there is none, and I will find it. And so when we pulled up to the hotel, and I knew that she was not going to get out, and I knew she wasn't going to say bye. And I was totally excited.
Like, I'm on my own.
Yeah, I was
getting my stuff, getting my bags.
Yes, but I was so excited because I had these sweatpants on and I had a pocket and I had $100 bill in my pocket. I was so excited to get out of the car and then lean back in and give her $100. And I was so excited that she wasn't going to get out. And I was so excited that she wasn't going to say bye, because I wanted her to know that, I'm not giving her this money because she did something nice for me at the end or didn't do something nice for me at the end. I'm just doing it because it's my nature. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't have to do anything for me in return. And I felt so good. And she turned around and she was like, seatbelt off. She was flying out of the car. She was getting out of the car.
She did?
Yeah. Well, she got her seatbelt off and opened her door. And I was like, it's okay. It's okay. And she was like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you. And she was like, so excited, so grateful. And she just kept looking at the money. And then she was like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I said, I'm sure. Of course, I'm sure. And then, of course, she was like really talkative and, thank you so much. And I was like, it's okay. I was pulling my bags away, walking away into the hotel.
You're like, that ship is sailed.
Right. But she will remember that. And she will feel good. At least for the rest of the day. And so did I. And anybody listening to this story is also going to feel good. And it's just like, I could have doubled the amount of negativity in the car if I would have matched her energy. But instead, I've created like an ocean of good feelings for myself and for her and for anybody that hears this story, because I chose to remember that the sage is kind to the kind and kind to the unkind, because that is his nature and that's my nature.
It is your nature. Mm-hmm. So,
well, it's my work in progress.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about those people that you reached out to, mm-hmm. like, what if one of them comes back around, mm-hmm. needs something from you,
Yeah. Well, I needed a ride to my drive-through COVID test today. So I thought about like reaching back out to her and being like, hey, remember that $100 I gave you yesterday? I didn't reach back out, but I agree. One random act of kindness reverberates across the world in ways that we will never know, in ways that are completely unseen.
Yeah.
And it raises the vibration of all who are involved and who hear about it and who witness it. And when we raise our vibration, we're healthier, we're happier, we feel better, we attract more of what we want. I mean, to think that I almost blew the opportunity to feel so good by choosing to do something so bad, like matching her negativity. I was so close. And I didn't. And in every situation, in every day, no matter who you're dealing with, in every difficulty, challenge, obstacle, awful mother-in-law, horrible ex-boyfriend, in every situation, especially the ones that are outside of your control, you have the choice in what you bring and who you are and how you respond and the energy you create. And that is it. That's the only choice you have. But that choice is everything.
It is. And I think you could even take that one step further and say that in our own nature, we have that choice with ourselves. Mm-hmm. Are we going to match the bullshit thoughts
Right.
that are pulling us down,
Mm-hmm.
or are we going to elevate that?
Right. And whichever one you choose is going to be your experience of life.
Yeah.
It's going to be your life experience. And I don't know. I don't know why we would ever choose the other ones, but we do it all the time.
All the time. That's the thing. When someone else is an ego and they're feeling that, it's real easy to just come right to, I mean, they say there's that whole analogy where it's like if you're, standing on a chair or a couch and someone's laying on the floor and you try to pick them up, it's much, much harder if they try to pull you down. You're going to get pulled down. I mean, and it's just easier to go down for some reason until we build those habits to, and like, it does reverberate too. Who knows? She probably told that story to someone. You don't know what's going to happen.
I know. I was like, it'd be really cool if she had ended up having like a huge social media following and like posted all about me. Just kidding.
You know what? That day will come, right?
But I don't do a random act of kindness to talk about it, although I have been talking about it a lot. So maybe that is why I do it. I don't know. But in that moment, I did it because
it was a lesson.
I was so excited to be like, yeah, yay, girlfriend, to myself. Like I picked. Like you finally got it. Yeah. Like I chose. I didn't match your drama. I didn't match your attitude. I didn't double the negativity. I didn't create more of what I don't want. I chose generosity and kindness and love. Because as my dad used to say, when you squeeze an orange, what do you get out? You get out orange juice. It doesn't matter who does the squeezing. It doesn't matter what time of day they squeeze it. It doesn't matter on what continent they squeeze it. When you squeeze an orange, you get out orange juice because that's all that it has inside. So in that situation yesterday where I felt squeezed, I gave away kindness.
And there's an element too, I think, of letting go of any judgment. We don't know what was really going on with her that day.
Right.
It could have been anything.
Right. And
maybe she got broken up with and couldn't afford rent. And we don't know.
Right.
And maybe she just felt like if she talked to you, she was going to cry or something. You never know. And I find a lot of compassion and just to join in with you. Like when I see someone homeless, I pretty much reach in my purse and give them something every single time, even when I feel like I don't have much money to give, and just because
that's your nature.
I don't know. Yeah.
But that's because that's your nature. I see that in you. I saw it in Justin. I saw it right away. And you can always see it in somebody because when somebody carries around that goodness, you feel safe with them.
Yeah.
You feel seen by them. You feel like there's no competition or judgment there. And that is a rare, I don't want to say it's rare because I don't want to put out into the universe that it's rare, but it's not always that you meet people that are like that. But I will say that the more I become like that, the more people like you I meet. So it's like, it's kind of like that's the secret.
Well, did it surprise you about the people that you reached out to about the book that were silent?
Yes, definitely.
It surprised you.
Surprised me. Yes, because when you have some people take social media so seriously, and it's like, they only follow, I don't know. It's like a whole game. And
I'm aware.
Yeah, it's like a whho weird thing. Yeah. And I was never really doing social media stuff before I wrote this book. So I never did any of this stuff. I don't have like a blue check mark or I just never did any of those things. I posted videos of my kids and that was it. So I was surprised because I really thought that if you have an opportunity to support somebody and it costs you nothing, why wouldn't you support them? If you are somebody that claims to be or talks about the importance of supporting others. So I felt like it would be a no-brainer that they would want to put their money where their mouth is, that they would want to, just do something.
Or not even any money. Just put your abundance where your abundance is or whatever. Exactly. I don't know.
Put your mouth where your platform is.
Yes.
I thought that there would be, and some people have been really wonderful and really kind and really like just incredible. And there have been a lot of those, but just some people that I knew got something from my dad's promotion that sort of surprised me in a way that I don't know. I just kind of felt like, I'm just going to chalk that up for later. No, I'm not going to chalk it up for later. I just thought like, what?
Like, it is noted in my brain.
Right. And I'm trying to forget it because I don't want to think anything negatively, but
it's hard not to let that still sit there a little bit.
Yeah.
And to be able to just let it go, to open your hands and just allow that. I've definitely experienced, nothing on that scale, but just those little slights almost that are perceived.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I see how you are.
I agree. And the thing is that I have realized, that I've been realizing, is that the issue is not that they did not do it. It's that I had an expectation that they do.
Yeah.
And the issue lies with me. So I can fix that. So I can take away the expectation, or I can love the expectation. I can forgive myself for having it. I can release the attachment that they do something for me, or that they give something to me, or I can just not do any of that shit.
Right.
And when I don't do any of that shit, I'm free of it.
You're free.
And that's
the best part.
Yeah. So when I say I really am trying to not like keep tabs, I really mean that, because I want to be like free of it. And I don't want to carry around shit.
No, you don't. And that's a big thing. Like people can carry on. Those are little resentments and little grudges. One time for New Year's, I like New Year's resolutions. I like resolved to let go of all grudges. And, I was surprised how many grudges came up,
How did you do that?
I don't know. They would just pop up every now and then. I'd be like, oh shit, there's one, and you just, you really have to work at it a bit and let go. Yeah.
Yeah. But that is the biggest thing, is having the awareness that you even have them, and I didn't at first. I was kind of just like, oh, this person's not responding, but I can see that they read it. And, then feeling this like hoity toity, like I'm going to be the lesson teacher. I'm going to remember that. Like, I'm going to know about that.
And that's one of those little grudges. Yeah. That's one of those little things.
And I was doing that. And I then realized, like, wait a minute, I don't even want to engage in any of this shit. I have an expectation that they do something. That's why I'm disappointed. Let go of the expectation. And anything they do will then become a gift, and I will only be excited. Why wouldn't I pick that route? Yeah. Why do I pick the other one all the time?
All the time.
And it's everybody else's fault.
Oh my God, I love you. Yeah, no, I get it. That's so great. We're getting kind of close to time. And I was just wondering, like, in wrapping up, as we finish this up, this beautiful conversation, which thank you so much for.
Thank you so much for.
I just wondered, like, what was on your heart to share, like, at the end, and just turn it over to you. Okay.
So remember before when we were talking about the legal stuff?
Oh yeah.
And you went through the legal stuff, and you were saying how my husband, he did not become, I talk about this in the book, but he did not become a victim to what he perceived as an unfair, unjust legal system. He did not become resentful. He did not become angry. In fact, one of his co-defendants flipped and was cooperating with the government against him. And he didn't even blame him for that. He didn't even get angry at him for that.
That blows my mind.
Me too.
Have you read The Surrender Experiment?
Yes.
Michael Singer?
Yes. Well, I read it because during my husband's trial preparation, he read it.
I bet.
And so let me say especially why this goes
chill.
This blows my mind, especially because if you would have known Matt, so he was indicted in 2015. So this is 6 years.
Damn.
If you would have known him just even 3 years before that, he was like, I love him. I married him. I stayed with him through this. So I'm not saying it from a bad place. He was like an egomaniac. I mean,
I think he had a yacht and
yeah, he had a
all sorts of
yacht.
stuff. Like,
Yeah, he had a yacht,
he
and
was having a good time.
he was having a good time.
bachelor, and
he was a playboy.
Mhm.
We met at the Versace mansion. He
I've
was
been
just
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, sorry. Me too. And he was just think of like a successful at a young age,
Mhm.
30s, mid 30s when we met.
In Miami, having a good time.
Yeah. And
sounds great.
yeah, had no fucks to give. He just was like a playboy and he was just living the life. And he never would have been, well, I can't say that. He obviously would have been, but he wasn't somebody that was practicing any sort of spiritual anything. And honestly, I mean, I fell in love with the playboy,
Mhm.
right? Like I liked the bad boy. I liked the not giving an F attitude.
Mhm.
But I love who he has become. And I am so incredibly proud and grateful that as he was challenged time and again in his life, he didn't point the finger at anybody else and say, this is not my fault. This is your doing it. He said, how can I change? How can I find my inner Tahiti? And how can I live from that place? And that is what he did during the time that he was the most challenged. I mean, he was on trial in the summer of 2017. Mason passed away in September of 2017.
Oh my gosh.
And he was sentenced in November of 2017.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so in that period of time, he was really challenged. And instead of giving up or, overly hitting the bottle or becoming depressed, he found the place inside of himself where God exists. And he lived from that place. And he did it because we have a friend. Her name is Aviana Castro, and she's a psychic. And
You mentioned her.
yeah. So sorry, I get thirsty when I have lights
good.
on. We talked to her for the first time ever in May of 2017. So right before his trial was starting. So this is not like a woman that we had like a long history of knowing. She was like an incredible psychic. But my sister, my oldest sister, Tracy, just loved her and highly recommended her. So we did this reading with her, and she said to Matt, because there was a idea at one time that there could be a deal. He could take a plea deal and get like a certain number of years. So he'd get like, I don't know, 10 years or something.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, he was facing like over 20, but he could get like, take a plea deal, plead guilty to one count, and then like avoid the trial and he was like, I don't know, just it's tough when you're given two awful options: go to trial or take a deal. And she said, do not take the deal. You're not going to prison. Don't take the deal. And this is somebody we had never met before. And he said, like, but how do you know? And on and on. And she said, it's just so clear to me. I feel it so strongly. Don't take the deal. You're not going to prison. And then she said, but if you want to guarantee that you get the outcome that is in your highest good, whatever that is, you don't know if it means jail. You don't know if it means, but if you want to guarantee that you get that, then you better start practicing the Ho'oponopono prayer. And he said, okay, let's do it. What is it? And she explained that it's 4 lines, and that's all it is. And when you say these lines, you just think of the person or the situation or the difficulty that you're experiencing. You just think of them and you say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And that is it. And you say it and you send it. And there's a lot to this. I mean, somebody could explain it. It would take a long time to explain the whole science and reasoning behind those 4 phrases. But there was a doctor in Hawaii, a psychiatrist, and he was put in charge of the most difficult, uncontrollable ward of the psychiatric hospital on Oahu, where people, there was not a single psychiatrist that had lasted more than like 6 months being the head of this ward of mentally unstable individuals that were committed. And there was not a single psychiatrist that had lasted more than 6 months because it was so out of control. And this very famous doctor came in and he took the job, and every day, he sat in his office and he held each different patient's file. So one patient at a time. He would hold their file and he would say, while holding their file, while thinking of them, "Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me." And he would send them that. And that was it. And the psychiatric ward at this hospital closed within 2 years of him starting there because they didn't have any patients left to treat. Everybody got better. And he never, ever met with any single one of them one-on-one. He only sent them love, asked for their forgiveness, offered his own apology, and expressed his gratitude.
Wow.
And he healed them. And that is what my husband learned, that prayer, and which is just literally those 4 phrases. So it's not that hard to learn.
And they don't even always have to be in order.
Right. Yeah. I get the order out all the time.
I've heard it different ways. Well, I think you had it right.
I don't know. I think I say the wrong order all the time, but I don't even think the order matters.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right. Because it's just the energy behind it. It's like you're taking responsibility, not for what they did, but for them showing up in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow there's something there that you needed to see or experience or learn from because they're there. So how else are you going to look at it? They're in your life for something. You're apologizing for whatever you did to show up in their life or have them show up in your life. You're loving them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying thank you to the universe for just the divine perfection in all of it. And when you bring that energy.
Is that what the thank you means? I always thought it meant thank you for the please forgive me. Like, I guess it doesn't matter because they're not necessarily going to forgive you.
Right.
I guess it's just saying thank you. Yeah, in general.
Yeah, now, but I know what you mean. Mm-hmm. Was it thanking them for forgiving?
Maybe it's just a general thank you.
I don't know.
I like it.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. It could be, I guess it could be however you want it to be.
Yeah.
I forgive you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I love you. I'm sorry. Okay, well, we just did the prayer. That was
perfect.
It. So anyway, my husband, he every day, every single day, he ho'oponopono'd the shit out of the prosecutors, the judge, the jury. He would just picture them.
Yeah.
And he would just do that. And he was found guilty of 1 count and he was sentenced to 7 years. And you would have thought that he gave up or that he thought that he failed or that he thought that the prayer didn't work or that all of his spiritual stuff did nothing, made no impact. But on January 11th of 2018, when we flew to New Orleans to drive to Pensacola, where the federal prison camp was that he was sentenced to, when we flew to New Orleans, the day before he was supposed to start, which was January 12th, and we were driving through New Orleans and we were getting lost and we wanted to get lunch. So we were looking for a place to get lunch, but we were so distracted, both of us, in this rental car in this new city.
And he's about to go to prison for 7 years.
For 7 years.
I might be distracted.
Yeah. And he had said goodbye to our daughters that morning before we got on the plane, after having just said goodbye to his son. And we're driving through New Orleans and we're just getting distracted. And he says, you know what? Let's just pull into this Harris Casino and park because we're going down like one way is the wrong way. Like we're just totally driving like maniacs. Let's just pull into this Harris Casino and park and let's get out and walk. It will be good for us to just walk. And we pull into this valet area of this casino. And I open the passenger door. I step out. And as I step out, a car comes flying into the valet, like super fast, way too fast. And stops just before me. I mean, like this close to me. I mean, I've said before that it was like 6 inches. No, it wasn't. But this close in a car that was speeding.
Not an exaggeration.
Yes, exactly. And see, I'm a liar. So it got so close, and I had to like basically like jump back almost. I thought it was going to hit me. And when the car stopped, I looked at Matt and I was like, look at this jerk. Like, look at this asshole just almost hit me. And I look over at him and he's, hold on. It's my attorney calling. And I'm like, okay. So I look back at the car that had just come really close to me, and the front license plate of the car said danger. And the frame said Mason, let there be light. Mason on the top, let there be light on the bottom of the frame.
What even is that?
I have no idea.
I mean,
Mason, let there be light. And I look at Matt and I'm like, oh my God, this license plate, you got to see this. This car almost hit me. And Mason was telling me he's surrounding the danger. He's here. And Matt looks over at me while he's on the phone and he just starts sobbing. Like just his whole body is like shaking, like puts his head in his hands like this and he's just like shaking. And I was so used to getting bad news and that I thought something bad happened.
You're like, what now?
Yeah. And I said, what is it? And he said, the prosecution filed a motion today admitting that they lied and withheld evidence during the trial. The judge stayed the prison surrender. I'm not going in. I'm going home. And I said to him, it was Mason. In the moment you got that call, this car pulls up and says danger. Mason's surrounding it with let there be light. So even though it seemed like all the ho'oponopono and the prayer and the spiritual stuff didn't work, it did in the 11th hour, literally. And
it's so impressive. He didn't stop.
He didn't stop. And maybe I don't
know if I would be that strong.
I was not that strong at all. I was a total basket case. I mean, I was basically like an alcoholic during that whole time. I was not anywhere near as strong and aware and committed and connected to finding that place of inner Tahiti within myself. I was not at all. It took me a lot longer. But I think that when you are the eye of the storm, you have one of two choices. You're either gonna rise above or you're gonna fall and fail. And he was the eye of the storm. And I was just kind of circling around him. I was just kind of like in his orbit. So I wasn't really forced. You know, like he was really kind of almost forced to decide for himself which way he was gonna take. But I wasn't. And I think sometimes being the eye of the storm, I don't know, maybe it just helps you get the lesson a little faster because it took me a lot longer. I don't know what my excuse is if it's not that.
Well, I think often it's harder on the spouse.
Yeah. Because if you're the one going through it, then you're just going to have to decide to be strong and get through it or you're not.
Yeah.
But I think the spouse, the family member, the sibling, it's when it's not you and you wish it could be, or you wish you could take it away from somebody that you love, I think it makes it a lot harder.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's amazing and admirable and beautiful.
Well, thank you. And it's proof though that that you can transform even the most sick of patients, even the most desperate of situations, even the most angry, bitter, resentful of people. Mm-hmm. If you send them love, thank them, forgive them, and take ownership of them showing up in your life in the first place. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so glad you were here.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so nice to be around such generous, natured people.
Well, you are too. You know, you were very responsive and just kind. And, you know, I haven't been doing this that long, or this show anyway. And, you know, I consider it a good learning experience of how I want to be no matter what.
Mhm.
Just like you said, you know, at any point, how are you going to be?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's real.
That's the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the secret. So
Yeah.
hopefully when somebody reaches out to me, I always remember, you know, what it felt like to not get a response.
Yeah.
But at the same time, sometimes you don't give a response, not because it's got anything to do, like you were saying, it's got nothing to do with the person you're not giving a response to. You're going through your own difficulty, or the Uber driver was going through her own potential bad situation. It had nothing to do with
Or
me
their
anyway.
spouse is having a legal battle
Right.
that's like we know nothing about.
Right.
Who knows? You know,
Right. So why not just put love there?
why not just put love there? What a
Mhm.
beautiful lesson. And thank you again for sharing this book. I really loved reading it, and I marked up the whole thing, and it was just full of incredible, beautiful lessons. Are you inspired to write another one now?
Not for a long time.
You're like,
I don't know.
I don't know when I would have time. I'm impressed that you did this with your kids.
Yeah. I am inspired to write another one because I'm already writing it. You know, like that's how my process is. I write in my head first. So I have to like kind of talk to myself
Mhm.
first about it. And then I kind of get to the point where I can't avoid the deadline any longer. And then I put like pen to paper. But
Yeah.
I already know I'm writing another one. I just haven't done it yet.
Well, I also thought y'all did a really beautiful job of like bridging the fact that there were two authors and keeping it in third person, but still giving your perspective.
Yeah. Somebody said on an Audible review that thank God for Sage's parts, because when I read mine, I huffed and puffed the whole way through. And I was like, excuse me, that was Sage. You got us confused because she was pregnant when she was recording, and the out of breath girl was her. But because we had to read it in third person, I can see why it seemed a little confusing to not think I was saying, and Serena said, but I'm glad that it read easier.
I liked it. Well, I didn't listen to audio,
Yeah.
but
Oh, thank you.
I thought it was really beautiful, and I encourage people to read it because
Thank you.
And even just to even read more about everything that you shared today. So
Yeah, thank you.
thank you for your truth.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
Sorry I showed up in my t-shirt.
You have
My
nothing to
sweats.
apologize. I think you look absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank
so
you.
absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'll have links up where everyone can order the book and find you and follow you. And all
Okay.
that. So
Yay, that's exciting.
yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you both so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Serena. I love today's episode. I'm so grateful to be here and be able to share it and be with you. And I think on the heels of what she said about Ho'oponopono, I just want to spend a little time in that space right now, because this is all about putting good stuff in the world. So let's really do it. So let's just do a little bit of it together. So this is in the book too. And it is Ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness. And it's based on the prayer, I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And with that, you can send love and light, forgiveness to anyone. And maybe just right now, I just invite you to think of someone, or maybe a bunch of people, For me, like I told her, I think of sort of a vague legal team for the legal issue that I've had for the past 5 years, however long it's been. I've lost count. And, there's other people too, maybe somebody we feel has wronged us. That's actually a good one because that's kind of juicy. That's like, we have to say, please forgive me to someone that we think wronged us. That's a hard one, isn't it? So maybe that's a good one to think of. I just invite you to just sit with that for a second. Maybe think of them while you're listening. Maybe you're driving, whatever you're doing. Just hold them in your head. Listen to my voice. Think, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. How do you feel after that? It's a little strange, you know? But please forgive me, because our pride and ego, I think, can get in the way. I know mine can. Especially if you feel like, you know, what did you do wrong? But it's about dropping all that, because we all play a role in everything, just like she was saying. So can you just say, please forgive me? And even if you're just saying it into the universe, yeah, why not? Or even if you're just saying it to yourself, that's kind of a beautiful way to look at it as well. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And I do love you. And I thank you. You know, who knows what I've done? So, yeah, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you, and I love you. So, as we wrap up today, I just invite you to follow Serena. She's really incredible. Serena Dyer Pisoni, there's that's in the notes, and order the book. You know, you're supporting really good people when you do that. And fill in your head with some awesome furniture with this book. That's for damn sure. So I'm stoked about that. And just surprises may come your way, and how receptive and open. What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of choices are you making? A lot of good shit in there to think about today, right? So thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself. You should thank yourself, because that's badass that you do that. And check out my newsletter when you can. It's at amyedwards.com, and you can sign up, and it comes about once a week. And I am working on sharing the books that I'm reading too in there, and just building it as we go. And I always have a message in there that ties into what we've talked about on this episode. And I enjoy writing those. I really do. And connecting with you. And you can always reply to that email if you want to reach out to me directly, or you can email me at amy@amyedwards.com, or you can find me on social media at Real Amy Edwards. Look forward to connecting with you there. And I just thank you so much. If you feel called to share this with somebody, please do. It's awesome. If you feel called to hit 5 stars, please do, or leave a review. Hell yeah, please do. I consider this a massive thank you. And thank you so much to our team at Hot Pie Media. So grateful for G in here today. Thank you. Yeah. And one of these days we'll get you a mic. I don't know why we can't have that over there. And thank you to the whole team here. And yeah, thank you so much to our guest, Serena, today. And as we wrap up, just I'm wishing you like peace and love and health and wealth and awesome furniture that you love in your mind, and abundance just flowing out in every direction. So I love you so much. And I wanted to just remind you that I'm still taking a very select number of clients for post-divorce glow up, find your glow coaching. So if that calls to you too, reach out to me for sure. So here's to all the love, light, abundance, and all the rest of it to you and yours. Until next time. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this show, please rate and review. It totally matters. And I encourage you to spread the love too, and share this episode with a friend if you feel called. Find me and my newsletter sign up at amyedwards.com. And you can also connect with me on Instagram at Real Amy Edwards, or in Clubhouse at Amy Edwards, or write to me. It's amy@amyedwards.com.